Did you know that one simple question can change the entire direction of the conversation and sometimes even your understanding of the world? Let me start with a question asked recently. I was sitting with a friend, deep into our work, when we decided to take a short break. And in that moment of mental exhaustion, I asked what I thought was a hardest question. Is a brownie considered a type of cookie? I do not, however, consider how controversial this would be. What followed was a surprisingly heated argument. Definitions were thrown out, ingredients were analyzed, baking techniques were passionately defended. And by the time our break was over, I had successfully proven through logic, evidence, reasoning, and maybe a little bit of stubbornness that a brownie could actually be sugar. We left off and back to studying, but that just stayed with me because that question did more than just start a debate. It sparked curiosity, communication, and connection, all from one unexpected question. Now, obviously, I love asking questions, and I think everyone should. Matter of fact, let me ask you all, do you think a brownie is a type of cookie? Raise your hand if you agree with me. A brownie could, in fact, be considered a type of cookie. Okay, now raise your hand if you don't think a brownie is a type of cookie. Okay, well, for those who had their hands raised, you would be incorrect, but that's just curiosity is the backbone of our society. It's the driving force behind innovations that improve our lives every day. All because someone was asked, what if? What if we could fly? What if we could carry disease? What if we could see the world differently? Now, think back to that cookie and brownie debate. On the surface, both of those desserts are simple. They're sweet, familiar, comfortable. But as we start asking questions about structure, ingredients, definition, we realize they weren't just a black dog. And that's the power of the question. It pushes us beyond the surface. You know, questions are incredibly useful. They act as catalysts for communication, helping us further our information on the surroundings. But what's actually happening in our head when we ask the question? Well, I had a very little biology lesson for you all, Saturday school. Now, the frontal lobe and cerebrum are the main areas engaged when we ask questions. Both are located right behind your forehead. They work in collaboration to facilitate learning, higher thinking, critical thinking, and decision making. But the question process begins with interest, the motivation for seeking further information. Now, the limbic system is just on to our natural curiosity. Then, cognitive processing begins. The frontal lobe becomes any relevant efforts you have and begins to formulate the structure of our question. And the cerebrum comes in and begins to translate our thoughts into written or spoken language while making sure our verbiage is appropriate for the situation and before we verbalize our inquiry. You know, this happens every time we ask a question, whether you're wondering how deeply you're reacting to it or asking your mind what's for lunch. But more importantly, questions create opportunities for connection. Through talking with people from all walks of life, I have learned that asking a question is the easiest way to build a relationship with somebody. When you show interest, you're asking for their views and perspectives, which begins to create space for understanding and trust. And then a cookie and brownie argument. My friend and I weren't just arguing. We were learning, reasoning, and connecting. We shared a moment of laughter that ultimately strengthened our bond. But curiosity doesn't just stop with others. It also invites us to look inward. The questions and curiosities we have can reveal aspects of our motivations and goals. Why am I interested in this idea? Why does this topic matter to me? Why am I afraid to speak up? Questions improve critical thinking and our decision-making skills. all of which contributes to becoming a more well-rounded, important individual. Now, in my experience, asking questions has so many benefits, plenty more than the potential negatives. But I know that curiosity can feel uncomfortable. There is a fear of embarrassment surrounding it. Some people are scared that they're going to ask the wrong question, that they're going to stand out. But this fear prevents us from learning all that we can. So, how can we make curiosity feel safer? Well, I have devised a few tips and tricks that help us really expand our curiosity. Yeah, first, remember that tone and language matter. A thoughtful, worded question can invite conversation, while careless wording can shut it down. Second, keep your questions clear and concise. Too many questions at once you just overwhelm the person you're speaking to and ultimately dilute your point. But, lastly, and most importantly, ask questions about things you're genuinely interested in. Authentic curiosity is contagious. It invites engagement rather than judgment. By keeping these principles in mind, we can begin to reduce the fear surrounding curiosity and ask as many questions as we want. Because curiosity isn't weakness, it's courage. It takes bravery to admit you don't know something. It takes confidence to challenge assumptions. And it takes humility to listen. So the next time you're in a meeting, a classroom, or a casual study group, I encourage you to ask the question. Ask the one that feels small. Ask the one that feels risky. Ask one that might serve the day. Because sometimes the question isn't really about cookies or brownies at all. It's about learning that curiosity might just be the most powerful thing we have. Thank you.